Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus here with a look at NECA's timely action figure release of the 2014 design for Godzilla, a character from Legendary's recent feature film release, Godzilla. Specifically the one that a lot of the internet is calling the 12-inch head-to-tail version. That seems like some big-time geometric fudging to acquire the largest number. Anyway, I saw this guy right after reading some positive opinions from a couple of NECA critical folks on the Twitter, so I figured, hey, why not? I have Pacific Rim figures. This is like buying Marvel Legos to go with your DC Legos on the same shelf. NECA got the Sculpt muscle twerking on this piece, with scales and plates and monstrosity carved into every millimeter of surface area on the Godzilla's beefy bod. There's a lot of texture, and the end result feels pretty good. Like, literally. Rub this Godzilla, it's like a hand massage. Now, I'm no expert on the finer points of the new Godzilla design, and I can't freeze frame through the film to check things because it's not out for home viewing quite yet, and why would I try doing that with a cam rip? Why? But a few runs through YouTube and Google image search are showing me that this figure is super close to what I saw on the big screen. According to my fuzzy memory, anyway. His head's just a little squished and not as cleanly beefcaked into his meaty throat. I feel like his chest is a tad thin and his arms may be a little too small from the elbows down, but I can't say for certain. Regardless, that head is also where most of the paintwork has occurred, and let me tell you, the other Godzilla in the shop was a mess. As always, when you're buying NECA, try to get a look at it in person to cherry-pick the cleanest paintwork to come out of their factory. On a decent one, I am way into the tiny picked-out teeth and beady little eyes, and the fleshy tones inside his maw help to visually set apart his tongue and gums when they're exposed. As for the rest of the figure, there's a vague gradient running down the Jira's front side and some black paint used here and there, but honestly, he looks pretty monochromatically green, and I think that's okay. Let's look at this guy. Let's just glance at him. Let's take a small look at what his body looks like, and let's remember the last time I've messed around with NECA monsters, that being Knife Head. They've done better monsters since then, but I had trepidations. We'll see how those go. At the very top of his neck, he's got this ball-jointed neck with a lot of ovular range, and working in tandem with that, there's another ball joint at the base of the neck. There's one here and one here. And working together, he can actually look around pretty well. I don't know, this was more than I was expecting. There's curvature going on. All of his joints are going to break up some of the smoothness of the sculpt, but I think that's something you've got to expect when you've got a dude who basically looks like a giant carved piece of alligator beef. His mouth can open and close. Now, it's open in the package, and it wasn't closing on mine until I, like, pulled it partly out, stuck it back in the joint, you know, did some temperature tricks. Now, it's all happy to open and close. And this adds a lot of personality, because now he's like, "Hi, guys!" And now he's just like, "Why?" It's helpful. I think that the way that the mouth joint and the neck joints worked turned out okay. And his shoulders, this surprised me. I thought they were simple V-cut type of things, like a little bit diagonal. No, they're straight up ball joints. You're not getting 1 million degrees of motion, but this is way more than I thought I was going to get, and this is the part that I kind of like about this. When you break the sculpt, there's still sculpting underneath, so that it's not like super egregious that you're breaking the sculpt. You're not revealing a giant hole, and I really appreciate that extra little bit of curved sculpture to maintain the visual dynamicism. His elbows are on hinges. You can see the hinges. The bend is pretty good because they can go from straight to bent, and like notably bent. That's way better than some of the Pacific Rim guys. And there's also a bicep swivel. Hopefully you expected that, but you didn't expect this. His wrist is on it. The ball joint the wrist is on has a weirdly large amount of downward range, and I feel like this helps him look a lot more like a weird lumbering man in a suit, and he wasn't in the film, but maybe that was an intent? I don't know. More range here than I thought. I'm going to be saying that a lot. Now here's where I got this far, and I was like, man, how big is his ab crunch going to be? Non-existent. He's got an ab joint in here. I think there's a ball joint. You can see it's able to tilt a little bit, but the range on this is kind of poor. This is oddly enough, the one thing that I was expecting to go really well, because it went so well on a lot of those Pacific Rim toys, and on this one, it kind of is not. Maybe these back plates are having something to do with it, but that was a bit of a bummer. Now his hips, I thought these were straight cut, like mushroom peg things, but these are ball jointed as well. And here's the crazy thing. They break the sculpt, you know, hugely when you do anything. There is, like on the shoulders, a bunch of additional sculpted texture underneath so that you're not just opening up holes right away, even though you kind of are up here. But look, there's stuff going on in there. That's neat. However, you've got the leg like this. That's clean. And then I found if I really mess with it, I can get the leg like this, and it's still kind of clean. I think that's kind of impressive, getting this whole thing to work to that degree, given this huge divot it's carving out of the sculpt. His knees bend a teeny bit. Just a teeny bit, and I don't mind that. The legs of a Godzilla I never expect much out of. There's a swivel above the knee joint. His ankles have got a little bit of tilt, but in the wrong way. So they start off, I would consider this to be basically straight, and they can tilt a whole lot this way so he can sprain his ankle, but they don't really tilt much in any other direction. They go forwards and backwards ever so slightly, but eh. His tail, now here's the big part. This is actually the part of the toy I find the most fun to mess with, because this is all segmented and ball-jointed and kind of monster artsy. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 sections all connected by ball joints, and the range on these ball joints is pretty friggin' good. And they're not dead concrete tight, but they're able to hold a position pretty well even when I've been doing this for minutes at a time. Finally, this piece of tail here, the one that's separate in the package, I saw these little telltale holes down here along the sculpt, and I was like, this is really thick, but is it? And it is. It's one of those bendy wire things. And this is one of the thickest bendy wire tails I've seen in a long time. And the crazy thing is, like, that's the thinnest orientation. This is the bending that obviously will happen. But look how thick this thing is, right? Curving up like a banana. I'm gonna bend it down, and it holds it. That impresses me. That's like a stop-motion puppet. Maybe I've already, like, horrifically damaged the wire inside. I don't know, but that's a really friggin' well-done bendy tail. Godzilla here, for a Godzilla toy for 20 bucks coming from NECA? It's way more posable than I was expecting. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. How are you feeling about it, Godzilla? This probably won't be the finest Godzilla figure on the market, and hell, it's probably not even the pinnacle of NECA's output potential, but I found this little handful of kaiju to be surprisingly satisfying and fun, mostly thanks to his effort-laden sculpt and way unexpected levels of posability. I mean, coming off of NECA's Pacific Rim kaiju, and their copious sculpt comes first limitations, I was genuinely smiling at the range of motion I could get out of this guy's bulky form. Clocking in at around 20 bucks, I feel like this legendary Zilla just about fills out his price point, despite looking way small and immobile in his clamshell packaging. Had he come with an effects part or a small building to step on, I'd have had far less trepidation. But it's after you attach his big-ass tail and start walking him around on your desk, swatting at things and going screonk, that is where this guy really rose above expectation for me. You may want to hold off and survey the toy scene for the rest of 2014 if you only want one Godzilla in your life, but big-time fans of the film or franchise will likely get their $20 bills worth of tied-over toyosity out of this fella. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and I'll cap this video with the revelation that as of May 2014, NECA are only making Gojiras. There are no $20 Muto monster figures on the horizon, but hey, I'm sure the realm of monster arts will jump at the opportunity to walk a path of parasitic destruction through our personal Vegases.